Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Episode 7 of the Wes Miller Show, presented by the UNCG Alumni Association. Alongside the Coach Wes Miller, I am Luke Martin, and we hope everybody in the Triad area is able to dig themselves out from Snowstorm Jonas over the weekend. And, Coach, speaking of that snowstorm, I don't know how often you've been put in a situation like that where schedules get wacky and everything else, but I'm sure above everything you're glad that you were at home while that snowstorm was going on compared to being on a bus on the road like the Duquesne men's basketball team.
Yeah, certainly. I told the guys that. I said, don't feel bad for yourselves. Duquesne was stuck on a bus for 30 hours. I think what I saw on Twitter or SportsCenter or something like that. But no, actually, we got stuck down at Georgia Southern a couple of years ago. Their last year here in the Southern Conference, and it was an ice storm, and the power was out on Georgia Southern's campus, so we were stuck in Statesboro for a couple of days, and that made me think of this situation a little bit. We won that one on the road there, and every time they reschedule a game and we get stuck somewhere, we've won. We're 2-0, so maybe we can reschedule all of them and have more snowstorms and ice storms.
We may need to have more snowstorms and ice storms, so maybe Mother Nature can help out Coach Miller and the Spartans. But, Coach, you mentioned able to play 2 games last week, and we spoke a week ago at this time, and you said, Luke, we have great opportunities ahead of us. Now that those opportunities have passed, how would you characterize last week for your team?
Well, I thought we came out and played pretty well against Chattanooga for about 30 minutes or so. I thought our guys were ready to play. I thought they were excited to play a team that's been picked at the top of our league and currently sits at the top of our league. And I just didn't think we executed in the last 10 minutes. I didn't think we kept our heads, and certainly had some opportunities. Going back and reviewing the film, we missed some easy shots around the basket. We missed some wide-open inside-out threes, and then they capitalized and made plays. And that's why they're sitting where they are right now. But I was pleased with the overall effort. I just think we need to execute and keep our heads a little better down the stretch. And then you think about the Samford game, and I actually didn't think we played great. I didn't think we played great basketball. I didn't think we were as into it and as focused as we needed to be. Not nearly as focused as we were on Thursday night against Chattanooga, but we found a way to kind of grit one out and win a game that didn't kind of feel good. And I think that's important in conference play, that you can find ways to win games even when things don't seem to be going your way and when you don't seem to be playing as well as you want. And so I was kind of proud of the mentality to finish the game against Samford, but didn't play as well as we would have liked to play throughout the entire 40 minutes.
Let's dive into both of those games, and we'll start with Chattanooga on Thursday night. And the first 4 baskets of the game, Coach, all came from behind the arc for your team, split between Marvin and Francis Alonzo. Could you have scripted a better start to this game? What did you like from your squad in the opening moments?
Well, yeah, we came out ready to play. Again, I think the guys were excited. They were sharp. And then obviously the ball's moving. I think, you talk about, it's always good to see shots go in, Luke, and you talk about shots going in from behind the mark, but most of those shots were assisted shots as the ball was popping around the floor, and that's how we want to play. We want to be a team that shares the basketball and passes up a good shot to get a teammate a great shot.
You call a timeout here. What was your message to the guys when Chattanooga got a 15-14 lead? Because whatever you said, it must have worked because it sparked a 9-0 run.
Well, I just think we needed to settle down and go back to hitting some singles on offense and stop trying to hit home runs and kind of buckle down and stay disciplined defensively, get a little more active with our hands. And we did. We got a couple deflections, and that kind of got us going. You see Garrett Collins coming up with a big loose ball right there under the basket.
And then Garrett Collins ultimately comes here at the very other end and knocks down a three-pointer. How big was Garrett a walk-on coming in due to some health reasons? His number gets called. What'd you think of the walk-on's play?
Well, you said he was ready. He's done his part in practice every day. He's a tremendous kid, works his tail off, and he was ready when his number was called and gave us some really good minutes throughout the weekend.
Alonzo caps off his 12-point first half with this layup to put yourselves up by 6 at the break. And that momentum carried over to the second half with R.J. White controlling his territory in the paint, and then Fran doing some Fran things, knocking down another long shot behind the arc. What was clicking for your team to ultimately get out to a 10-point lead, which was capped off by a Deontay Baldwin steal and dunk we'll see here in just a moment?
Well, you saw it on that play right there. When the ball is moving, when we're finding the open guy, when 5 guys are connected and engaged together offensively, we can do some really good things, and we have some pieces that are pretty darn special when they play together. When we don't do those things, we're not as good, but I thought we had really good energy. Again, when you get deflections on the defensive end, you get opportunities for easy baskets, and the little guy got up there and dunked one right there, which was pretty exciting. We made a nice run. I do think we got to do a better job when we make big runs, staying focused. Staying focused realizing the things that we did to get there and continuing to execute. I think we got we kind of dropped our focus. We still played hard. We dropped our focus after that run right there that put us up 10.
Well, and you mentioned it, Coach, in the opening segment of the show. You say, hey, give credit where credit is due. The Mocs went on to make difficult shots, including McLean's three-pointer here as the shot clock expires. What ultimately was the difference, in your opinion, from Chattanooga being able to pull this one out and escape with a win?
Well, yeah, I thought we didn't make some plays. Yeah, that's easy to say, but you go back and you watch the tape, and we missed some shots that we'd have a really good chance to make some high percentage shots, and boy, they made some tough ones, and then we didn't execute on either end like you want to in a really close game. But this is a game of possessions, and we're still learning and getting better, and I think if we can find a way to win one or two possessions in games like that, we're going to start seeing some different outcomes.
Then to the game on Sunday afternoon, Spartans looking to surpass their win total last year at home with a win over the Samford Bulldogs. And one of the main stories in this game, Coach, was Marvin Smith scoring 8 of his 20 total points here in the opening frame. Do you feel that Marvin is starting to gain that consistency that you and the staff know he has in him and can be a reliable threat offensively for you guys?
Sure. We got all the confidence in the world in Marvin, and it's good to see the ball go in for him. I think he's starting to take better shots, and we've told him the ball goes inside out, step up and knock it down. If it's hit 3 sides of the floor, step up and knock it down, and start embracing the things that you do really well and do them all the time. And I think he's doing a better job of getting to the offensive glass. He's taking better shots, and all of a sudden, things are starting to work out for him on the offensive end. What I really like about Marvin, he's been so competitive for us. He's our toughest kid, and well, not the toughest, but one of the toughest guys, and he seems to bring a lot of energy and fight on both ends of the floor every possession, and he's got to continue to do that. And he does that whether he makes or misses shots, and he can bring a lot to the table for him.
Well, dealing with the full court pressure, which you knew was going to be a key against Samford, with only 9 turnovers at the end of the day, did you feel you guys handled that pressure well from Samford?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time preparing for the pressure of Chat and Samford, and for the most part, I think we executed our press offense like we were supposed to. We were strong with the ball. Certainly as a coach, you always have a couple possessions you like to get back, but the guys are doing a nice job of trying to find those open areas and then attacking with confidence when they break the pressure.
The Bulldogs ultimately led by 2 going into the locker room, and they kept the gas pedal down to start the second half. Where did you feel the holes were at for your team in the first block of the second half, where it just seemed Samford started to separate themselves again?
Well, it's funny. Of course, we had some breakdowns, and there was about 3 missed blockouts in the course of 3 possessions that really hurt us. So there's some technical breakdowns for sure, Luke, but we just weren't as into it defensively. Our feet weren't as active, our hands weren't as active, we weren't communicating like we'd like. And I think with this team, a lot of times they know what to do, and certainly they make some mistakes, but when they're active and they're communicating with each other, and as we like to say, when they're connected, we can erase a lot of those mistakes and still make plays. And you see, R.J. White erasing a mistake right there. He steps over and puts his body in front of the ball and takes a big charge.
And the Spartans trailing by 1, but not for long, as K.L. Locke connects on this three-pointer all the way from his hometown of Baltimore to put the Spartans up for good. And then back to the man who started off the highlight reel, Marvin Smith, as he drains one of his 5 three-pointers in the contest, but he closes it out defensively with a steal on the other end as well as a block. And you can see this key situation as well, KL getting the and one. It really seemed that was a big momentum changer in this game.
Yeah, we had a good stretch there from about the 7-8 minute mark all the way down to about the 2 minute mark. I thought we were really engaged. I thought the ball was really being shared. What you see, again, deflections. We got more active defensively. And then guys made a lot of good plays. I thought Marvin's threes were big. Assad's 2 threes were really big for us. KL's 3, an offensive rebound. RJ did some nice things there on the block and got to the foul line and made some plays around the basket defensively. Deontay got in the paint and created and converted some free throws. So some really good plays individually, but it was because we were connected together.
You mentioned Assad Lamont. He has 6 3-pointers in the past 3 games for you guys. You speak very highly of his defensive capabilities, but how big has he been? May not be tons of offensive firepower, but it seems like the moment he does connect, they've been in huge timing for you.
Well, he's a very, very capable catch-and-shoot 3-point shooter, you have to honor and respect him. As you said, he started to knock him down, and I think that helps our offense because it creates space for guys like RJ, Kale, and Deontay. And we all know he's been capable of knocking them down. He's been doing that all year in practice. It's nice to see him do it over the last couple games. But he's such a heady player, Luke. You know, he's a senior. He has great confidence. You know, we have great confidence in him, especially down the stretch in games, that he's going to make the toughness plays, that he's going to make the right plays on offense, and he's really made some big-time plays for us here in the last couple games.
You hinted at me before we started the highlights saying, I didn't think we played well against Samford, but you won the game. What's that feeling as a coach when you walk out? I know you're always going to be a huge critic of your team and looking for areas to improve, but is it a good feeling knowing that you didn't play your best and yet you still walked out of the gym at the end of the night with a win?
Oh yeah, it always feels better to win than it does to lose, right? And certainly we see it like that. I was really pleased of our mentality. You know, I think we've struggled to finish games, and we've struggled to stay focused when things haven't gone our way and fight through adversity the right way. I thought in this game when it didn't feel good the whole game, and we didn't seem to be as alert as you'd like us to be. And I think the guys felt it too. We found a way to make some plays to win a game. And I think that's really important in conference play. You know, you're not going to feel 100% every day. Things aren't going to go your way the way you planned them to in your pregame game plan. But can you dig down and find a way as a team to get a win? And I was proud of that at Samford. But I think we can play better. I think we can be more into it. Shoot, I thought we played better against Chat for 30 minutes in a game that we lost. So I think it's there. We got to continue to play better and then have that mentality and that fortitude that we showed against Samford on Sunday.
Well, we've reached our first break in the show, and one of the men we talked about moments ago, Garrett Collins, he hops on the show right after this short break.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corcoran. To sell your home on time for the most money, you need a sharp agent with a marketing strategy that creates the most demand. Bottom line, you need a partner willing to put their own money on the line for you. In Greensboro and Winston-Salem, it would be Jason Bramblett. He attracts hundreds of buyers and creates so much demand that Jason can guarantee if your home doesn't sell at a price and deadline you agree to, he will buy it. Partner with the agent I trust. Go online or call and get your home sold.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Wes Miller Show, presented by the UNCG Alumni Association. Now it's time to welcome the star of Asheville, North Carolina, now the biggest shot blocker in the Southern Conference, Garrett Collins. Garrett, it's great to have you on the show. And how about that? You think you're starting to steal that shot blocking title from your teammates like RJ White and company?
I'd love to. I'm going to do everything I can to take that from him, so we'll see.
You're starting to take the steps in the right direction with the win over Samford the week, a big block in that game. But for you, what's it been like these past couple of weeks? Your name has finally been called, having a chance to go out onto the floor due to some health reasons with some of your teammates. But knowing that, how do you get yourself mentally, physically ready for that moment? Because, one, you don't know if that moment's going to come. And two, when it does come, you can't be surprised when it does come.
Yeah, I think I just have to prepare every day like I will go in, just because if I don't, then nothing's hurt from that. And then if I do go in, I'll be ready. And so every day in practice, just working as hard as I possibly can, trying to do everything that I would do in a game, and days off, getting extra reps up, going to get extra lifts, and just doing all the little things in practice and out of practice to where I'm prepared if my number does get called.
Well, this past week was a big week for you guys as a team. You knew heading into it, at the end of it, you learned a lot about yourselves with Chattanooga coming in and Samford coming in. Well, now that those two games have passed, what did you learn about your team this past week?
We got some tough guys on this team. We've been through a lot all season, injuries, guys leaving. It's definitely not been easy. And I think having the big road trip and then these home games all in a row, I think we've really learned that we're tough guys, and we know we can play with anybody in the league, and we think we have a really good shot to be at the top when it's all said and done.
You mentioned toughness. Another word that comes to mind is being resilient. No matter what happens, even when Samford makes a run, you guys were able to make a run and combat that and ultimately win the game. Where does that come from? Because it's not just Samford. You can look back to Furman, down by 6 with 3 minutes to go. Where does that grit, the toughness, the never say die attitude that you guys have, where does it come from?
I think it comes from practice. Our guys on scout team, we we want to go harder. We want to go harder in practice than the games are going to be. And so if we're in practice pushing each other and like kind of making it really hard on either like on the starters or on the scout team, if we're just making it really hard on each other, that's going to prepare everybody to where in the game we're ready for anything, like for big runs. We got to stay disciplined. We got to just do our jobs no matter what's happening throughout the course of the game.
One of the main things that Coach and I have talked about on the show this year, and I know he's mentioned countless times to you guys, is the improvement you all need to make defensively. And one of the things you guys have done is go a little bit more zone. For you, do you enjoy playing in a 2-3 zone? And what are the things that you guys think as a team, because it has benefited? You've seen a lot of results from playing that 2-3 zone. What are you guys doing well with the zone that allows you guys to ultimately get some results that you've always been wanting?
I feel like when we play zone, we play more together as a unit because it feels more connected, because you have an area and your guy behind you has an area, and like you're kind of working more together. It feels like sometimes when it's man defense, it feels like you versus the guy in front of you, and then your back guy versus his man, and it feels less like connected. And so I feel like when we started making the switch to playing more zone, I feel like we played more together, and we started to notice that like we had each other's backs in certain instances more, and it just really benefited throughout the games.
I know one of the things that you guys look at is not necessarily who you're playing, it's how we can control what we do in order to win a game. Understanding that, what do you guys need to control this week, regardless of who you're playing? What are some of the steps that you guys as a team need to take to make this what hopefully will be a successful week for you guys?
We gotta prepare for the Citadel first, definitely. They have a lot of pressing, and we just played two teams that like to press a lot, and so we're kind of already in that flow a little bit. But for the most part, we gotta come in and work like we do every day. We gotta just keep the next play mentality. Gotta be mature. All the stuff I've been talking about. Just kind of like keep working how we've been working all year, and things should go our way.
And how's it felt being back out on the floor?
It feels fantastic. I'm just glad that when I get out there, I feel like I'm making a difference. Because if I was going out there and like messing up a lot, like I mean, I wouldn't like I'd be upset, but I would still like worry about what's happening next. But I'm glad that when I do go out there, I feel like I'm like having an impact on the game, and I think that's going to lead to more things.
Well, it's for sure this guy is having an impact. Shot blocking ability. We've seen the 3-point making ability. Let's hope the Citadel and Mercer sees more of Garrett Collins this weekend. Garrett, congratulations on your success, and good luck the rest of the week.
Thank you.
Once again, that was Garrett Collins. We got Coach Miller coming up to close out the show to preview those two Silicon Road matchups. Don't go away.
Normally, we're not on the same side.
Not even close.
But there's one thing bigger than our rivalry,
and that's beating cancer.
It's the one thing we can agree on.
And together, we can win.
That's why we're teaming up with Subway Restaurants
And the American Cancer Society's Coaches vs. Cancer program.
Go into any Triad Subway
and make a donation to Coaches vs. Cancer.
any amount, with or without a purchase.
Team up with us and Subway Restaurants.
And help us win against cancer.
And welcome back to the Wes Miller Show, presented by the UNCG Alumni Association. And Coach, back on the road in the Southern Conference this week for you guys. What's the work ethic we've always talked about on this show, how it's never dropped off. You guys have come to work hard each and every day, no matter win or loss. But now as you go back on the road, searching for that first road win of the season, where's the confidence at with this team in trying to accomplish that task with two tough teams with the Citadel and Mercer coming up?
Well, it's just what you said. We got to get back to work, and we got a couple good practices this week before we get on the bus and head down to Charleston to play Citadel. And, you know, I know we play Mercer on Saturday, but I'm trying not to think about that. You really try to think about the one that's right in front of you. But, no, I mean, if you look around our league, it's been a really fascinating year. I mean, every single game. It doesn't matter where people are, where they were picked in the preseason. Every game seems to be going down to one or two possessions, and there's some exceptions here or there, but I mean, I turn on the TV Saturday, and there's two games in our league that are in overtime or in the last possession. I mean, it's just been a wacky year. So you better be prepared. You know, you better prepare each week I think the teams that continue to come together as a group, that continue to improve each week in practice, are going to be the teams that will be right there in the end in the Southern Conference tournament and in the top seeds, because it's up for grabs right now.
Well, you mentioned overtime games, one-possession games. The Citadel is no stranger to that. Their past 4 games have either ended in one possession or they've gone to overtime, including a game against East Tennessee State over the weekend. When you watch them on film, what stands out about them to allow them to be in the game at the end of the contest?
Well, it's what you just talked about. I mean, they've gotten better throughout the year, and they had a really tough start in their non-conference, similar to us. And you see a team that hadn't given in at all. And I've been watching tape for the last couple days trying to prepare for them, and it just seems like they just keep getting better every week, every game. And I think that's why they're right there. And I'd like to think the same about my bunch here, that we're right there and we just kind of keep getting better. So it should be a heck of a game, but you got to give Duger credit. He's coming in and he plays a very unique system, and I got such respect for what he does, and how he just changes the way he plays, and it really throws people for a loop. But he comes in and changes the system, and you see they're starting to understand that system right now, and they're really starting to execute it. So it's always a tough to prepare for a team that Duger coaches, and you see that his team's really starting to kind of embrace his style of play down at the Citadel.
Well, my final question to you, and you kind of already answered it a little bit, but when you watch the Citadel from early on this season to now, one, how much improvement do you see, and where do you think they've made the biggest improvement?
Well, I tell you what, I just think they're so good offensively. You think about Duger's teams and you think about all the pressing and, the havoc they almost create every possession, and this team does that. I mean, they can turn you over in a second, and they're doing a great job of stepping in and taking charges. I mean, they don't keep that stat, but they must take the most charges in the Southern Conference from the tape that I've watched so far. But, man, they got 5 guys on the floor most times that can shoot the 3, Luke, and that's difficult to cover. And so, they do it in transition. They do it through some sets, and you got to do a great job of covering their shooters. And then when you do a great job doing that, it kind of opens up some driving lanes. They've done a great job lately getting to the basket and getting fouled too. So we got our hands full on both ends of the floor, and Duger's doing a great job. But we got 2 days to prepare. Hopefully the guys will come ready in practice.
Well, we know you have your hands full, so we're going to let you go and get back to work, Coach. We appreciate the time as always.
Thanks, Luke.
Once again, that was Coach Miller. We thank Garrett Collins as well for joining the show earlier. That does it for the Wes Miller Show. We'll talk to you next week. And as always, go Spartans.